Story 1. Every genre or era of music you like, there is an independent music scene for that hyperspecific genre, and it is just as good. If you complain about music today or modern music, you have not tried at all to find music. Honky Tonk from the 1950s is just as powerful, inspiring the same energy and intensity as hardcore punk or another heavy genre. Story 2. Weird Al Yankovic and his band are significantly underrated as musicians. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Story 3. It is not that today's music is worse and the 1960s or 1970s or any other decade had much better music. Poor pop music existed even back then, and you would have been aware of more of it if you had lived during those times. However, good music has also been made in every decade, including the present one, and if you look for it, you will find it. Story 4. People should stop criticizing other people's musical tastes. Just be happy with your own music choices and let others be happy with theirs. Story 5. When I worked at a record store when I was younger, I operated on the idea that every single song could be somebody's favorite song, so I shouldn't criticize it. That said, I absolutely hate Fleetwood Mac rumors. Story 6. Musicians who do not write their own music are just performers. Musicians who write their own music and lyrics are artists. Story 7. Music snobbery is foolish. People who truly love music can usually find something to enjoy in all kinds of music. Story 8. Nickelback is not as bad as memes make them out to be. They are just very generic and were overplayed. Story 9. The White Stripes and the Black Keys would have been better with a bass player. I like Neil Young until I hear his guitar solos. Story 10. The Carpenters are not ordinary. They are brilliant. If you do not understand them, that is a skill issue. Story 11. Weird Al is underrated even by some of his fan base. He is much more than just someone who is funny. He is a musical satirist. Story 12. People need to let others enjoy whatever they want. Liking a certain genre does not make your taste better than anyone else's. Story 13. Nickelback is fine. If you do not like them, do not listen to them. They would not be world-famous musicians with multiple platinum albums if they actually performed as poorly as the perpetuating Reddit memes would have you believe. Story 14. Most people in this world have no idea that music does not need a stage, speakers, amplifiers, or anything beyond people making sounds. My band performs a short, all-acoustic set of music at the end of the night, and people think it is some kind of magic. Story 15. My pop-punk hot take is that New Found Glory should have been bigger than Blink-182 ever was. The only reason Blink-182 got massive is because, during those years, the explicit lyrics and provocative music videos sold more commercially. Story 16. U2 makes terrible music, and I think many Generation X members like them because they feel they are supposed to like them. The same goes for Baby Boomers and Bruce Springsteen. Story 17. I don't value a great voice over a great guitarist, drummer, keyboardist, or bassist. Musicians like Adele, Pink, or whoever else relies on their voice as their instrument do nothing for me. The voice has to mesh well with the other instruments, not dominate the space. Story 18. 1980s music was awesome, but I am glad the fade-out ending went away. It just seems like a lazy way to end a song. Story 19. The Monkees are a highly underrated pop band. They have been unfairly criticized for years because they did not come together organically. Story 20. Can we stop gatekeeping music genres? I just want to say a song is emotional without someone lecturing me on why it is not emotional. Or call a song hardcore without people judging me. Does it really matter? Can we just call it all alternative rock and move on? I am too tired to understand it, even though I thought I did since I lived through it. Story 21. Kiss is a terrible band, and their makeup and crazy outfits cover up the fact that their music is bubblegum, car commercial pop rock suitable for kids bop. Story 22. The late 1970s to the mid-1990s saw the best and most diverse music styles ever created and probably will never be surpassed. Story 23. Most modern rap songs that are meant to be taken seriously or are serious attempts at rap end up being try-hard efforts to be cool or emulate other famous rappers, which becomes sad. Also, Ice Spice's music is what you would get if Microsoft or Google started making rap music. Story 24. The Beatles are an incredibly relevant part of music history, and I would be just fine never hearing any of their songs. Story 25. I have a couple. People who only listen to one genre of music have no room to criticize other genres. It is like eating grapes and criticizing oranges for being oranges. A hit is a hit. It does not matter the genre or artist. If people enjoy it, sing, and dance to it, that is all that matters. Nu metal is just rock music with insecurity. Rap is the dominant genre now, whether you want to believe it or not. Story 26. Motorhead is not good. They were pioneers and inspired many great future bands and artists, but the music they made is not actually good. Story 27. I dislike Kendrick Lamar's song, Not Like Us. I think he is an okay rapper and like a few of his songs, but that track is very annoying to me. It seems every other hip-hop fan loves it. Something about the flow is off, and parts of the melody sound like nails on a chalkboard to me. Story 28. I do not like any bands because that would mean at least one person would like them, and that is too mainstream for me. Story 29. I don't care about the genre, effects, or music style. If I like a song, I don't feel the need to defend my opinion or explain why. There are many things I dislike in general, but sometimes I hear a song that uses those elements and I like it. I don't need a reason to like or dislike a song. When my wife, I, or anyone else are listening to music at home or in the car, anyone can veto a song that is playing. There is no need to explain. Just skip it. Story 30. Grunge is a Seattle genre. Stone Temple Pilots and other 1990s rock bands that did not originate in Seattle are not grunge. Story 31. People who lament how some artists' first album was better and that they liked them before they became famous are actually onto something. The first album was likely the creativity of the artists involved, but from the second album onward, the music production company instructed the artists to create more marketable art intended for the largest audience. Story 32. Giving names to many subgenres of one style is not pointless because if you listen to each of them enough, you will notice the differences. Each subgenre has a unique subculture centered around it. Story 33. I want to hit snooze on people who were stuck saying certain decades had better music. I heard it from my parents, and now I am hearing it from people my age. Just say you have not moved past your generation's music. I think music is art, and there is so much good music floating out there, especially if it is not being played on the radio repeatedly. Story 34. Just because the music is not to your taste does not mean it is bad music. You just do not like the music, as simple as that. Every single day, I see people saying, how the artist can be popular? I hate every music the artist created. It is all terrible. Story 35. Mahler's 8th Symphony is tied with his 5th Symphony as his best work. Anyone saying that the symphony's optimism was disingenuous is joyless and lonely. Its scale and orchestral power are not cheating. It is one of the most emotionally affecting works of music ever written, and I think everyone should see it performed live once. Story 36. The greatest era for music is right now, and it is due to the amount of music being made and the unprecedented access we have to all of it past and present. It does not matter what era, band, or genre you support. You have instantaneous and affordable access to all of it. Many current bands are exploring and iterating on these styles in interesting ways. Anyone who says good music is no longer being made is uninformed and stubborn. Explore the Australian progressive scene, the United Kingdom Afrojazz scene, the Turkish ethnic folk scene, or the Japanese heavy metal scene. It is out there. Go find it. Story 37. Mozart, Strauss, Liszt, and other famous musicians of old were just popular musicians of their time. They basically played mainstream music. Maybe there were more talented musicians than them, but they never became famous, and we probably will never know about them. Metal music from any period has both good and bad elements. It does not mean it is automatically superior if it is from the 1980s. I listen to metal music from different decades. All of them have good and bad songs and bands. I love Dragon Force. Story 38. I do not like Queen. I think they are overrated, and most people who claim to like their style do not listen to anything else similar that is not as widespread. Story 39. Not liking Taylor Swift songs does not mean someone has poor music taste. Some of her fans really need to grow up. I have heard, "How do you not like her? She is literally the whole music industry." I just feel bad for them at some point. Story 40. No such thing as an overrated artist. If someone is capable of singing, writing, and performing in a way that connects with and impresses millions of people, they are objectively super talented regardless of your personal opinion on their art. Story 41. I'll tell you one that my girlfriend strongly disagrees with and even gets visibly upset about. I don't think Billie Eilish can sing well, or I don't like her music. I'm no expert. But personally, I just don't like her music, whereas my girlfriend does. She gets very upset and even makes me list who I think has a better voice. This happens once in a while when she releases music. Am I the only one? We all have different tastes, but it doesn't do it for me. Story 42. None of these are controversial opinions. In my opinion, the Beatles are overrated. It is like saying Casablanca is the greatest film ever. They are nothing more than stale nursery rhymes. Additionally, Bob Dylan's voice is something I cannot stand, and the same goes for Kendrick Lamar. Their voices are nasal and annoying. Story 43. Not exactly a hot take, but I have never heard any decent musicians talk about music they did not like. If you encounter a musician who continually criticizes new music or popular music, they are probably not a very good listener, and that will eventually be reflected in their own music. Story 44. If Jack White were around in the 1930s and 1940s, he would have led a wildly successful big band like Benny Goodman. Story 45. There is an enormous amount of great music being made in every genre right now. You just need to improve your search skills. Story 46. Post Malone's music and his personality are reminiscent of the bottle that people spit their chewing tobacco into. Story 47. Pop music is not garbage. It is meant to be fun. It is meant to be danced to. It is meant to be catchy. Story 48. REM wanted to be important but tried too hard and, at the end of the day, was just another average group. Story 49. Most music is not very good. It is just what radio stations and record labels push to us, so we take what we can get. It is the same for restaurants and movies. The 1970s had a period where artists were really expressing themselves, and record labels actually gave them freedom, but it was short-lived. Story 50. The Beatles were important to music, and there is no denying that. However, I have never been a big fan of them and do not understand all the hype. I like some of their songs, but some people revolve their personalities around the band and think that any other music will always be inferior. I guess if you were alive during their peak, it resonates differently, but people my age, older millennials and younger, who treat them like a second coming confuse me. Their music is not bad. I just think it is average despite their importance. I would rather listen to the Beach Boys. Pet Sounds may be the best album ever made. Story 51. Popular music has basically been done. All new music is either sampled or copied from something else, or so bad it should not even be called music. Story 52. You should not study music theory. Buy a piano and learn everything by listening, copying, and inventing your own way. You should not think in chord inversions. A chord is simply something you play in your preferred way. Add a bass note you like because it follows a pattern or is close to the previous bass note. Do not think of jazz chords as very complicated. They are usually one chord on top of another with some notes left out. Pay attention to finger distances. You can try to constantly think about which chord to play, but if you respect the distances between notes and learn to hear how they sound, you can play a lot without too much effort. Story 53. No such thing as bad music. If it makes you feel something, then it is good. Unless it is grime, drill, mumble rap, or dubstep. They are trash. Story 54. There are only two genres of music: good music and bad music. Which genre any song belongs to is entirely subjective to the listener. Story 55. When people say, "I listen to everything," they mean they listen to popular music or the top 40. Story 56. The Beatles were a mediocre band that was influential only because of the cultural shift surrounding them instead of anything truly groundbreaking with their actual music. Story 57. The visual overload of a flashy show and the screams of fans prevent me from being able to enjoy the music. Story 58. Most live concerts and performances are awful. The studio version is better 99% of the time. However, I understand that people love the energy and atmosphere. Story 59. Metallica's last great studio album was Ride the Lightning. All of their studio albums since then are too long, too similar, or both. Story 60. Led Zeppelin is incredibly boring. They only have one solid album, Houses of the Holy. The rest are either boring or annoying. Story 61. Hot take. Coldplay does not make interesting music. The same goes for any band or artist that does not create complex music. Imagine Dragons also come to mind. Their music is objectively good, but it is very boring. I am someone whose formative years revolved around metal, from entry-level Metallica to extreme Cannibal Corpse. As a 27-year-old, I have settled somewhere between progressive and progressive death metal. I listen to all other genres as well, primarily rap and rhythm and blues nowadays. My problem is that my brain cannot grasp guitars, drums, and bass that do not satisfy the itch for progressive music. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder brain, basically. Story 62. Kids Bop is addictive. It is like a drug that makes you feel worse, and you hate it but cannot stop taking it. Story 63. Ill Considered is an exceptionally good modern jazz ensemble that does not have the following I would expect because each album is excellent from start to finish with no skips. Story 64. Artists are treated worse as time goes on. However, artists have more tools to connect and engage with the audience that industry leaders do not know how to use and are afraid to embrace change after Napster. Story 65. The most common trait among all humans in the developed world is that everyone considers themselves to have a diverse taste in music. I am not saying it is not true. I am just saying having a diverse taste in music is about as unique as tarmac. Yet everyone who tells you about their diverse taste in music acts as if they expect your jaw to hit the floor when you hear it. Story 66. You should learn every genre, listen to every genre, and be open-minded about it. Growing up, I was a metalhead, punk, underground, and New York hip-hop fan. I missed out on so much good music. Now, Delta blues, swing, classical opera, along with my favorites, all stay on my playlist. Story 67, Worldwide FM, Giles Peterson on BBC Six Music, Bandcamp, Luwaka Bop, Mr. Bongo, Brainfeeder, Munster Records, Far Out Records, International Anthem, Vampisoul, Philophon, Mazum Discos. Story 68. For me, Metallica is my favorite band. I often hear people say how much they dislike them and claim that Lars Ulrich is a poor drummer. The Damage Justice tour Onward suggests otherwise. Some say Metallica used to be metal but have become rock, which is simply not true. I love every song they have ever made, including their collaboration album Lulu. If I had to critique any song under pressure, it would be Junior Dad for being unnecessarily long. Apart from that, it is a masterclass of an album. Also, a hot take. I am a metal and hip-hop kind of guy, but strangely not combined. I do not like rap metal. However, if there is a song from a different genre like classical or pop, it will go on my Spotify playlist. Story 69. I hate techno. Really. It is a no-go, not even just a red flag when dating. This is just pain in the ass. Story 70. Liking and appreciating the band is an immediate sign to me that someone has good taste in rock music, even if they are more in my top 10 and not my absolute favorite band. They are a perfect baseline in my opinion. Story 71. Rap is incredibly influential but at the same time detrimental to black youth. These kids look up to rappers who claim gangster this, thug that. It glorifies crime and being a menace to society, so these young kids try to emulate it, thus creating more crime and violence. I wholeheartedly believe that a significant portion of the issues with black culture stem from the glorification of gangster and thug mentality seen in rap. However, it does take skill and artistry to create good rap. there is some good material to find in the genre. Story 72. Modern music can be great if you get past the songs that are overplayed and listen to more underrated artists who are not being pushed on you. Especially artists who write and produce their own music instead of hiring a professional producer, because more care is put into each song by the creators. They do not just follow trends like many mainstream professional producers. Each song is unique. Story 73. I never really understood Michael Jackson's songs lyrics, though I love the music and his cool dance moves. So far, I only understood, I am bad. Beat it? They don't really care about us? And Annie, are you okay? Story 74. Arctic Monkeys declined in quality when they began taking themselves seriously as artists, around the time they released their second album. Much of their work since then has been pretentious. Story 75. I never know the singer or the genre. I don't follow albums or names. I hear a song, I like it, then it goes in my playlist. People often ask, "Oh, you listen to that artist?" And I'm like, well, no, I listened to this song. Until that moment, I didn't even know who the person was. Story 76. The quality of recorded music has dropped significantly regardless of genre, while our technology continues to improve. Somehow, new recordings sound worse than those from the 1960s to the 2000s. Story 77. It takes Midwesterners who think sourdough bread is spicy a long time to detect a hint of spice. Here I come along with this. The division bell is better than the wall. Story 78. They have not been red hot for at least 2 decades, if not longer. They should really be called the green mild bell peppers. Story 79. For the dedicated metal fans, clean vocals, when done properly, make heavy songs even heavier. If I listen to this as Exile by Whitechapel and Endarkment by Anal Nathrak back to back. Endarkment is heavier by miles, and it's no contest despite having a beautiful melodic clean-sung chorus. That clean melodic part provides contrast to the extremely heavy parts and makes those heavy parts sound much heavier. If a song features only harsh vocals, it no longer sounds heavy. It just becomes noise. Pauses and slow breakdowns can have similar effects. To expand, I dislike metal elitists who believe harsh vocals are the only vocals that matter. Complaining about how much you hate singing makes you sound like an immature edgelord. Grow up. Story 80. You can train someone to sing really well, but you cannot teach them to be an artist. I cannot count how many times I hear songs with really good singers, but all I can think is, this person is a good singer. Or, this is a good performance. Alternatively, there are many people in history who were bad singers, such as Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and many small-time musicians who went much further than many American Idol-type singers. This is because even their lack of singing talent was not able to stop their overwhelming sense of music. Story 81. I like popular music. Please leave me alone. I do not care about your super secret band that only performs once a year. Story 82. The best decade for music will always be the present. No matter what style of music you enjoy, there will be a new band or artist creating it. The genre might have passed its cultural peak, and you may have to look a little harder to find it, but it is definitely out there. Story 83. One day we will be able to sing karaoke in the voice of a specific singer or have concerts from deceased singers in their prime, like ABBA The Voyage. Honestly, I do not think that is a bad thing. Just like how we use artificial intelligence now, it would have to be restricted in some way, but if used properly, it can bring happiness to many people. I heard that they were planning on bringing back Elvis Presley. Story 84. Musicians who do not write their own material are overly respected in music. It is baffling how many artists receive international recognition for songs that someone else wrote for them to sing. Story 85. Ghost and Sleep Token are actually good and have objective sales numbers to back them up. Elitists only hate them because they are repeating the opinions of the loudest 1%. So predictable. Story 86. Contrary to the ageless belief that music is getting worse, there is plenty of music coming out today that is some of the best ever made. It just takes more deliberation to know what you like and to find it. Story 87. Lainey Wilson sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Beyoncé is not that great. Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion are trash. Jelly Roll was better as a rapper. Juicy J was better with 3-6 Mafia. Story 88. If you like a rapper's album and you go to see them live expecting similar quality, you are going to have a bad time. Story 89. I love bagpipes but hate Scotland the Brave. It is the default tune you always hear, and it is just overplayed. Play Blue Bonnets over the border, the Green Hills of Tyrol, or the Black Bear instead. Story 90. Artists who switch up their sound and lyrics are better than artists who sing the same type of similar lyrics in their music. An example is Lil Yachty. He is the last artist I expected to innovate his sound, but he made a significant change. Some of his lyrics are repetitive, but no more than other modern artists. I am not claiming Yachty is the best artist because of this, but for me personally, he is impressive due to his willingness to explore new sounds. Story 91. Eric Clapton's solo work is really boring and bland compared to what he did with bands earlier in his career. The acoustic version of Layla removes everything that made the original a great song. Puts me to sleep. Story 92. We are overdue for another revolution in rock music. The British invasion in the 1960s. Grunge and alternative in the 1990s. It is time, and the younger generation needs their own movement to collectively obsess over. Story 93. I like my 1950s music, but do not include Elvis Presley in it. Most playlists I find that say 1950s party or 1950s best hits have about half Elvis Presley. There were many more artists and groups, I swear. Story 94. Music wasn't better in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. You were a teenager and forgot a lot of the poor quality music that was out then. That's why new music rarely connects with you on the same level anymore. Some young person is out there having their mind blown by something adults hear and think is unremarkable. This happens every generation. The mind of a 45-year-old and a 15-year-old processes art in different ways. Mainstream music culture has changed, no question, but the game has changed as well. Story 95. I believe something can only be considered music if it has physical instruments and/or singing. Autotune does not equal singing. Disqualified? Not music, assuming no instruments. Only using fake instruments like a drum machine or similar is disqualified. Not music, assuming no actual singing. You can like those noises and perhaps call it a song, but it is not music. An instrumental song can be music, and an a cappella band can be music, but it needs to be legitimate singing and/or instruments. Story 96. Hair metal was absolutely poor quality music and incredibly lame. It was one of the most cringeworthy scenes possible, comparable to pop, rap, rock, and country genres. Both genres can be embarrassing to hear. Story 97. Beyoncé is overrated. She is gorgeous, fit, and a great dancer, but only a mediocre singer, and does not primarily write her own work to balance it. Story 98. Nothing combined with rap is a good genre. Rap plus anything is worse than either rap or the other genre. For example, rap metal is worse than rap or metal. Story 99. I have a few opinions to share. Pink Floyd is hippie stoner music, and I do not respect someone who likes this band. Martin Kearns is one of the best drummers in his genre. He surpasses other drummers except Georgios Kalias, who is probably equal or better in talent. Aesop Rock is an absolute genius. He matches Eminem in skill at writing lyrics and creating masterpieces. Story 100. Pop culture calls electronic music repetitive with no melody, but I hear house and techno influences in a majority of pop songs. It makes it hard to listen to or find new house music. Story 101. While I appreciate what they did for the entirety of music and rock and roll, I just do not really care for the Beatles. Some of the more famous songs are great, and I know them through cultural osmosis. I have never liked them enough to buy an album or listen all the way through any of them. Story 102. It is clear within the first 20 seconds of listening whether the music is written for the sake of art or money. Everyone subconsciously has the ability to discern the difference. They just pretend they do not to justify themselves. Story 103. I'm 66 years old. My first concert was Led Zeppelin in 1977. I've been to many different concerts, and I love music. My last two concerts were Muse. Taylor Swift is amazing. I just started listening to her songs. I thought she was bubblegum pop music. I have become a fan within 2 days. The production of her videos is amazing. They are like movies. She is basically an actress. I'm really impressed. I can't believe I'm a fan. This was not on my bingo card for 2025. I'm still in shock. I guess I had seen so much negativity against her. People make fun of her dancing, etc. They don't realize that she is performing for tens of thousands of people. She is a performer and an entertainer, and she does that well. Story 104. Stray Kids make some of the best music in the world. Even though they are a Korean pop group, they have tracks that sound nothing like Korean pop. They write their own lyrics, and their music is self-produced. Story 105. Hardstyle will eventually become one of the biggest music genres. The innovation and sound design year after year is becoming seriously impressive. What is so good about hardstyle is that there are many subgenres to please all types of people. Story 106. Music was better with more established stadium acts. Also, the world missed out on Canadian alternative music from the 1990s to the early 2000s. Story 107. Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback is a great song. While I dislike the band as much as everyone else does, that track would be a classic if it had been released by a more popular band. Story 108. No year or decade had the best music. It is either viewed with rose-colored glasses or only the best of that time is remembered. Every year had its flops. They just are not remembered years later. Story 109. If a drawing is art for your eyes, music is art for your ears. I think any combination of sounds intended to represent art counts as music. It is why I consider video game music as real music. Story 110. Falling in Reverse is terrible. Ronnie is a bad person, their music is not original, and a lot of the time their music sounds like him whining. Story 111. The Beatles really are not that great. They have a few good songs, but overall their music is not extraordinary. I know it was groundbreaking for the time and truly music would not be what it is today without them. But objectively, their music is just okay. Story 112. Make a playlist of your earworms. All of them, not just the songs you like. These are songs that your brain, especially your subconscious, wants to listen to. Play this playlist when you are not feeling right. It is good medicine. Story 113. YouTube has introduced me to some good bands with its mixes created from previous music I have listened to. Story 114. Music's connection with pop culture is fading. Name a new genre or decade-defining moment in music from the 2020s. The rise of grunge and Kurt Cobain's death. The West Coast and East Coast rivalry in rap culminating in Tupac and Biggie's assassinations. The Britpop invasion, including the Spice Girls. The late 1990s return of boy bands and teen pop. Nu metal and Woodstock 99. All of that and much more happened in one decade. Story 115. Inbred by Ethel Cain is the most traumatizingly beautiful piece of work that has touched my ears. Story 116. Do you like overcomplicated, pretentious arena rock with no soul, awful singing, worse lyrics, and the occasional 4-minute drum solo that is irritatingly uninteresting and does not serve the song? Then you have to check out Rush. Story 117. Modern mainstream radio is terrible as it only plays the same artists and songs, ruining the charts which barely change every 6 months. Therefore, artists who needed radio to get a hit song or even get noticed only have a chance via independent stations and shows, which likely means only one play at most. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.